This episode is brought to you by that feeling you get when something has so much nostalgic value that when you think of it, you can remember exactly where you were and who you were with when you originally experienced it. And you're about to revisit it again and you're worried it might tarnish all those childhood memories. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the not Real Movie Talk. We are officially episode 1 of ScreenTest. Welcome, Aaron.
Man, that's going to be really hard to get used to.
Yeah.
Of not saying Real Movie Talk.
Yep.
'Cause that's been a long time. It's been a long time that we've said that. At least you have said that same intro. It's almost stuck in my head. That's going to be a pain. We're going to call this thing Real Movie Talk by accident so many times.
No matter who it is, I will edit it and post. And if it's you, I will dub over you with me saying ScreenTest. But yeah, we are officially now the ScreenTest podcast. So we're not just looking at movies, anything to do with the screen. My goodness, we're going to have a whole 40 episode series on Tubi. We're just going to have to go dig it out of the grave.
I can't wait to go find the Tubi app. What was that? I already forget. Quibi. Do you remember Quibi?
Yeah, that's what I was even talking about. Tubi's still a thing, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Yeah, Tubi still exists. Tubi is like a... Yeah, Quibi has long since been dead. But I would kind of love to go back and see a catalog of shows that were on there. Because there were a couple just random, like maybe worth watching things on there.
Maybe.
But just how long did Quibi last? 6 months?
An hour? If it was not long.
It feels like that.
They put so much money into such a short amount of time, too.
It's crazy that you would give up that quick.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you always hear about these streaming companies and they're always like losing a ton of money. But I guess the whole thing is it's the long game. You have to build that and have to slowly grow. Quibi was like, are we rich yet? Nope. All right, we're out.
I like that mentality. That's very of our generation.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of our generation, do you know what has single-handedly defined time? And when I ask that question, it is rhetorical because we've pre-discussed this episode, and if you've clicked on this episode, you've seen the title of what we're talking about today. So yes, the answer is yes. You do know. If you were a listener...
What a great question, Chaz.
If you are a listener to Real Movie Talk, you know that we specifically divided time into two things. So I guess there's 3 ways you can define time. There's AD and BC. There's, BCE and whatever is with that one. CE, I guess.
I don't know if I've ever heard BCE.
Before Common Era and Common Era.
I have never heard that before.
And then there is BS and AD, which is what I'm going to officially call it now. We've had a few different ones, which are before Shrek, after Donkey. So everything took place. Everything that took place before Shrek came out is a completely different world than what took place since 2001, I guess?
Yeah.
April of 2001?
Yeah, and for any of you that are kind of new to this concept, it's probably worth kind of explaining how this even came to be. Chaz is very good at games, and he sets up games, and how my mind works is I reference things by like a big event that happened in my life and trying to remember, did that happen before that event or after this event? And that's kind of how I start my frame of reference. Well, whatever game Chaz was doing, my apparent moment of clarity was the movie Shrek. And knowing, did this happen before Shrek existed or did this happen after Shrek existed? Which has now led us to this.
Yeah.
To this event. So anybody that's...
It's a common thing.
Yeah, so to anybody that's completely new to this, we like to refer to time as, I guess now, before Shrek and after Donkey. Yeah, I love that.
Yes. So I couldn't think of a more fitting way to open a new podcast than to close the chapter on Real Movie Talk, our old podcast, as making it BS. Everything before Shrek. This is going to be a Shrek-heavy episode, and everything we do after today is going to be AD, after Donkey.
I love it.
So, you watched Shrek in the last week, yes?
I did.
Okay.
I watched it two days ago.
Okay. I watched it yesterday, and I've gone through and taken notes. You know, I have 2 kids. We don't do a lot of TV in my house. My TV is kind of my own time in the bedroom. After the kids go to bed, I will watch something. And it's weird because your wife will come in the room and, okay, you're watching Justified for 3 days in a row, and then one day she walks in and you're a grown 31-year-old man alone in your room watching Shrek. So
I love that that was your experience as well. I work here on an extra large widescreen monitor. So what I did is I had Shrek on one side and then work on my laptop and on the other side of that monitor. And my wife was coming out to my office out here in the backyard. And I don't know why my immediate instinct was, I better pause Shrek or I'm going to have questions to answer. So I did. I paused Shrek and moved. And I was like, why would I do that? Yeah. Because I was so like, I know I'm going to get judgment here. When she comes out, it's like, why is of all the things you could be watching, you're watching Shrek right now? So I love that you had a very similar run-in with that.
Yeah.
They just don't get it. They just don't get it.
They don't understand.
That's the problem.
Oh, man.
No.
So many sideways looks when you're watching Shrek. And honestly, I'm tired of hiding my Shrek addiction. I
am too.
So I went through and I've kind of broken up the movie into sections. So I will navigate us through the movie Shrek of giving us a synopsis of one section, and then we'll just kind of talk about it. And I got a couple things on the end, but let's go ahead and
spoiler alert. By the way, we really do need to remind everybody, if you would like to fully enjoy this episode, head on to Peacock. Put on Shrek. Shrek 2 is also on there. If you are feeling a little wild and need to watch the second one, you can do that. But to really fully grasp this episode, you're going to want to watch Shrek.
Yes, please have seen the 21-year-old movie at this point.
Yep.
The Shrek can legally drink. So if you've not seen it, I don't feel bad for spoilers. Click off this. Again, Peacock, #1 streaming platform there is out there. Real Movie Talk, award-winning streaming platform. Give Shrek a watch. When I watched it, it showed me 2, maybe 3 ads at the beginning. No ads through the movie.
Yeah, yeah. Also, like a wonderful thing about Peacock, their ads are pretty sparse.
Yeah, may tank them, but that's besides the point.
That might be a problem. Yes, it might.
All right, let's jump into it. We get our introduction to Shrek and see that fairy tale creatures are being collected. A talking donkey escapes and forces himself into Shrek's life of solitude. Shortly after, the fairy tale creatures say that they were forced into Shrek's swamp, so Shrek and Donkey go to visit Lord Farquaad to discuss the situation. So just a brief intro all the way up to, okay, we're leaving the swamp. We're going on a journey.
Chaz, I watched this. So you watched this yesterday. I watched this 2 days ago. And this occurred to me because I don't know if this is outright answered, unless I missed this. I don't know if this is outright answered. Why does Lord Farquaad kick all the characters out? Like, there's no reason for that.
Okay, so first, this intro, amazing. I love the intro of set up the fairy tale. And again, we haven't seen this 1,000 times, but you're setting something up of this fairy tale story, rips the page out, wipes his butt with it. We're done with that story. We're telling a new story. Why is he collecting fairy tale creatures to begin with? Was it just to get the magic mirror?
Yeah, it does not outright explain that because, obviously the fairy tale characters all end up in Shrek's swamp.
Yes.
And then your introduction to Lord Farquaad is him interrogating the gingerbread man.
Yeah.
But he specifically wants... What does he want from the gingerbread man, actually?
So, what I took it as, so you got these swamp dwellers saying that Lord Farquaad forced them to be there, but then when Shrek, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, but when Shrek goes and talks to Lord Farquaad, he has already questioned the gingerbread man about where the other fairy tale creatures are, and he's like, oh, they're in your swamp. So I think they escaped. What I took away from it was they escaped Lord Farquaad, and he doesn't know where they are. So now, not only is he getting someone to go on this journey, but he also just figured out where all his captives have snuck off to.
All right. So I've got another question.
Why are we collecting fairy tale creatures? Which I have a theory. We'll get to my theory in a minute.
So all the fairy tale creatures are in Shrek's swamp. Mm-hmm. Shrek gets out there, and maybe I just misread this situation, but he gets out there and it's like, does anybody know where Farquaad is? Mm-hmm. Why does nobody say where he is?
I think because again, I didn't analyze this as much, but just watching it and taking away what I took away from it is they're escapees. They don't want to go back. But Donkey escaped before the rest of them. He doesn't know that they're on the run. So he's all like, let's do this. And then I assume they're like, oh, this is an ogre. He's going to kill Lord Farquaad. So yay.
Because, all right. Here's kind of, there's a lot of things going on here.
Yeah.
I don't think you're right there, because in the scene when you're introduced to Donkey, mm-hmm. he is literally being given away, and right next to them are the 3 bears in cages.
Correct.
So he knows people are being rounded up.
Yeah, correct. But he escapes before the rest of them. I assume that they got put on some horse and carriage somewhere. They're being hauled away. They all escape at once, but Donkey has already escaped and forced himself into Shrek's life.
Okay.
So he doesn't know about the greater escape plan. My question going off here is, you've got all these people who are trying to catch Shrek, I assume because he's a fairy tale creature. They're going to get some shillings for him. He talks about how, there's all these myths about how he eats people. Does he actually eat people? He's got way too many eyeballs of differing sizes for them just to be of woodland creatures and slugs. He's got eyeball soup. He's got a jar full of eyeballs. When he goes back towards the end of the movie to his home, he's got a bowl of eyeballs. Where's his eyeball collection coming from if he doesn't eat
Yeah,
them?
you know, by the end of this film, not to like skip ahead, but really to just capture the whole image of this, he eats 0 people.
Yeah,
There is 0 humans eaten by the end of this film. Which,
on screen.
On screen. And it's not even implied, though.
No.
It's not implied that he has actually eaten a person. And in fact, most of his meals are pretty tame, I would say.
He might, well, I was going to say he might be vegan, but no, he's eating some slugs and stuff.
Yeah, he's eating some slugs. But, these are important questions. These are important questions. Does he actually eat humans? He does have, that is a massive collection of eyeballs.
So many.
You would think, like, the normal ogre would have, like, 4 or 5. He's got, like, 20 to 30.
Yeah, right.
Eyeballs.
And no
There's
fridge,
lots of them.
so he's not keeping them
No.
fresh, so he had to pluck them fresh. I don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe he is eating human beings at the beginning of this.
He could be. He could be.
Another question I had for you. You've seen Sing 1 and 2, correct?
I unfortunately have, yes.
Do you think the pig's accent from this informed Nick Kroll's pig in Sing because they have the exact same off-branch Swedish accent?
I did not connect those dots just because the pig is so very shortly.
He's got one line.
He's very, very shortly shown in this film. But yeah, that connection is like hard to ignore. And in fact, if DreamWorks wanted to sue Illumination Studios, I do believe that they would have a case. Yes.
Not only is it the same accent, it's also coming from the same animal. So do with that
Yeah,
what you will,
yeah.
DreamWorks.
Very questionable.
All right, so what you've already kind of gotten to here, we meet Lord Farquaad and see that the creatures have escaped and are hiding in Shrek Swamp. Shrek and Donkey make it to Duloc, and the bravest men of all Duloc are having a competition to see who will save Princess Fiona. Another thing in this, it goes through, so Lord Farquaad is the one gathering up fairy tale creatures. One of the 3 princesses that the magic mirror, he gives him 3 princesses that he can marry to become a king. One of those is Snow White. He had already captured Snow White, and the dwarves escaped
Yep.
with Snow White because Snow White is in Shrek Swamp. So that could have saved us a whole lot of time here if he would have just kept a hold of those mythical creatures.
Well, it brings us back to that kind of original issue, which was what was even happening with these characters to begin with. But you're 100% right. I almost feel like when they were coming up with princess ideas, that these were the only ones they could think of. Was obviously one that they made up, and then Cinderella, and then the one they've already shown in this movie. But yes, that is a massive plot hole, because he literally did have access to that princess. Although, you could make an argument that he was not aware
Of what he had.
of that, because at the time, the mirror was saying, you're not a king yet. You have to marry a princess to become a king. These are your options. So there's a little bit of some wiggle room there where it was like, well, he just didn't know at the time, so that's why. So, but yes, that did stick out to me as well.
That's true. Let's talk about his design for a second. So John Lithgow broke his rule of never playing short characters. I don't know why that's a rule you have in your mind as an actor, but because he liked this script so much. The design, though, I would say Lord Farquaad is about 1/4 chin because he's so short and he has such a big chin.
Hold on. You just dropped a lot of pieces of information that I was not super aware of. 2 of them are really important to me. Did he actually have that as a contract?
That is, what do you mean as a contract?
Like
as a stipulation?
that's like a thing. Yeah, that's like a stipulation. I don't play short characters.
Yes, as far as, I don't know if he's just joking, but as far as interviews with John Lithgow go, where he does not seem like he's joking, he said he would not play short characters.
Weird.
Maybe he
Okay,
thinks short humor
it's
is
gotta
like
be
the
a joke.
lowest of the humor. I don't know.
But he's a tall guy,
He's a tall guy.
so it doesn't make sense. It's got to be a joke. It's got to be.
Gotta be.
But the other very interesting thing that you said, I'm sorry, he was impressed by Shrek's script. Is that true?
Maybe that's also part of the joke?
Are you making this up?
No. I did
So
my
somebody
research
handed
before
him
this episode.
the Shrek script, and he looked at that and said, "Wow, get me on that film."
Yeah, 1 more curse word and 7 more fart jokes, and this is cinema gold.
Wow. All right, that is pretty impressive. But you are right, design wise, he's got a great jawline.
Yeah, he does. It's all he's got going for him, but it's there.
Easily his best feature.
Yes. And so we talk about Farquaad rounding up fairy tale creatures. I have no reason to think this. No things that I've seen have even hinted this way, far less confirmed it, but I have a theory. You ready for my theory?
I love theories. You know I do.
I believe Lord Farquaad is gathering up fairy tale creatures because this is nothing more than a dig at Disney. And I think Lord Farquaad is Disney in this movie. He's a guy that's going around scooping up fairy tales to get financial gain from them, is what I'm assuming. And entering Duloc looks eerily similar to entering Disneyland, with the parking lot, with the little things that you got to go through to get through the lines, with the dude in a character outfit, with the little singing people that look like it's a small world. To me, it looks like it's a small scale Disney operation happening here.
I from my perspective, I think you're like 80% there, where obviously Duloc is the most obvious wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Disney. Like obviously, it's a small world, and then the Duloc thing that's of course, but I don't know what that has to do with him rounding up fairy tales. Like I don't
that's
understand.
how Disney made his money, was just like Snow White, the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, Peter Pan, Little Mermaid. All of those are fairy tales that were copyright free that he just kind of took and made his fortune off of. That's where I'm pulling.
Okay. I still don't know if that makes sense why they're just tossed into a swamp. But
No.
the connecting pieces are there. It was obviously a movie that was kind of taking some shots at Disney. There's more than one instance in that film where they seem to be taking a shot at Disney.
Yeah. I don't know if they intentionally did it, but I think they maybe accidentally took another shot at another company here. Did you notice that the blue and the Lord Farquaad logo look exactly like the Facebook logo?
Okay. I noticed that as well, but Facebook doesn't exist
Exactly.
in 2001. So I don't think they're taking a dig at Facebook, but yes, that immediately sticks out to me too, as the F had a very similar look.
Yes. And it's the exact same color blue. Yeah, Facebook's 2004. So
yeah,
not even close, but man.
That was
how perfect is
2004 AD.
Right, yeah, AD. I love it so much. It's just little Lord Facebook walking around his castle. Yeah. And that was the through line for me. That wasn't even intended. That was the funniest joke. It just kept on giving with that little F on the blue logo everywhere. But then Shrek and Donkey, Shrek wins the battle. Shrek and Donkey begin their journey to save the princess. We find out that onions have layers, and the two find the castle, fight the dragon, rescue the princess. A lot happens in here. But I will say, this is when I realized, not watching this as a kid, watching this as an adult, this movie is quick. There is no lagging in this first part.
I remembered it being, because this was a totally different time. Obviously, we've created a whole timeline off of this, but this was a different time where hour and a half movies were pretty normal.
Yeah.
Hour and a half to 2 hours was pretty standard. We don't live in that world anymore. And what's crazy is, and even for animated films, like animated films hitting up towards 2 hours is a lot more common. This was a very brisk hour and a half. Very brisk. And in some ways, I wonder if part of this is just kind of just due to a technology limitation, is what I kind of wonder. Because back in those days, stop motion films took an absurd amount of time because of how much time. And I think animated films were kind of that same process. These 3D animated ones, the technology was relatively cutting edge, and I think it was a whole lot more involved, and it took a long time to make them. So I just think an hour and a half was like all you could probably afford to actually put together. Like going to 2 hours was going to be insane. And if I remember correctly, there were a lot of people that didn't think Shrek was going to be financially successful.
Yeah.
So that also might play into the runtime being just an hour and a half. But you are not kidding. This movie does not waste time moving to the next scene.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't like movies that drag for drag's sake. But yeah, this, and we'll get to Shrek facts here in a bit. But this movie had 3 iterations. The first was live action with CGI, a la Roger Rabbit. So all of the human characters would be real people. And then Donkey, Shrek would be CGI. Glad they didn't go that route. And then the second iteration was 2D, just drawn, and then they went full 3D with CGI. So I like where they landed. We'll talk a lot about what this movie could have been, and I'm glad it's not. But one of my biggest takeaways off of this was that Donkey goes from hitting on a dragon to realizing the dragon's a girl to escaping the dragon to making babies with the dragon pretty quick. This is an abusive relationship. It's very one-sided.
Oh, it absolutely is. Oh, absolutely is. He is having babies with that dragon out of fear.
Yeah.
Like, that is what that is.
I'm flipping it. I'm saying it's abusive the other way around.
Wow, really?
She is so in love with him. He uses her as transportation, as security. He didn't even know the dragon was a girl when he started hitting on it. He just hit on it to not die. Donkey, man, come on.
This is an emotionally abusive relationship.
Yes, it is.
You are right.
That poor dragon. It deserves better. Judging by the look, it looks like it's from the family of Game of Thrones dragons. And by look, I mean its scales are red. So to fall that far from your family heritage, to be married to an abusive donkey.
Do you think Game of Thrones is referencing the dragon from Shrek?
I don't know, but I need you when we're done with this to look up the comparisons of what is it House of Dragon is the new HBO show? The comparisons to that and Shrek, and some of the scenes of House of the Dragon are shot for shot remakes of Shrek. And
that is amazing. All right, I am 100% checking that out.
Oh, people are just calling it live action Shrek, and I love it.
I love that. If Shrek just suddenly showed up in House of Dragon, imagine.
Oh, I would love it so much. Then the journey home begins with Fiona getting her fairy tale ending dreams shattered when Shrek shows that he is an ogre. Shrek goes from saving Fiona to basically kidnapping her to take her to Farquaad. Fiona is really interested in camping, and we'll find out why later. Shrek and Donkey have a fireside heart-to-heart, and Fiona seems a little bit different from the shadows. I didn't pull much from this part. This is where it starts taking the turn.
No. Well, this is when you realize, actually, for as many twists as this show tries to take, it's a very generic storyline.
Yes, it is. And this is where it starts getting super generic.
This area especially is, you've seen this play out a million times now. I will give movies a lot of credit nowadays that this trend, we grew up on this trend, on this exact cycle of, them fighting, them kind of liking each other. Boom, somebody screws up, somebody messes up, and it's usually a misunderstanding, and then it eventually results in the happy ending. Like that thread was ingrained in us. So it's this especially starts for it being an hour and a half. This section starts to drag because of it.
Yes, for sure. And we'll get into my least favorite part of the movie, which is a super trope here in a minute. But before we get there, Lord Farquaad is prepping for his wedding day. The little lord gets a little too excited when the magic mirror shows him the same picture of Fiona over and over and over again. The real Fiona wakes up, murders a bird, eats its children. Now, with new understandings, the group continues the journey when they encounter robbers, butt arrows, romance, and I'm pretty sure Donkey snaps his own neck. Fiona is once again scared of the sunset. What a sleazy person Robin Hood is.
Yeah, Robin Hood, all right, so this is obviously a reference to Men in Tights.
Yes.
Which is a very strange reference even for 2001 standards.
Yes.
So I think that one's a little interesting. The one scene I hate the most in this is the Matrix reference.
Yeah. It's kind of off-putting.
Everybody was... Here's the problem with that Matrix reference. Is it was something everybody was doing.
Yeah.
Was the bullet time sequence. But is it not like such a signal of when your movie was made?
Yes.
Or truthfully, I don't think there's anything else in this movie that is that connected to pop culture.
Yeah, that on the nose.
Okay, outside of Smash Mouth music playing.
No, they made Smash Mouth. Smash Mouth came from Shrek. That's not referencing anything.
That did not. They were not popular because of Shrek. I think All Star was I think All Star was actually popular before the movie came out.
Nobody cared about that bowling league before Shrek happened.
I don't know if I'm absolutely certain on that thing, but the Matrix reference is such a sign of the time because they don't do that in movies anymore. They don't, because now that reference is super dated.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna. That's not my most important question right here. In this section, my most important question: did she intentionally murder that bird, or was it an accident?
I don't know, because at first it seems like an accident, right? She's just trying to sing with a bird.
Course.
But then you see the motive. Was she just trying to kill that bird to get some eggs?
Yeah, it was like my first motive is if I sang so high a bird exploded isn't, well, let me see if it's got eggs.
Right.
I'm doing that if I want to murder it, and I'm like, well, I'm going to sing really high, the bird will sing with me and also explode, and then I'll eat its babies. It made me wonder if this was done intentionally or not. I think Fiona's motives here might actually be, she might be the bigger monster, actually, in this movie.
Well, I don't know.
Just something to consider.
Since we're on the topic of murder, I'm a watch the corners of the screen type of guy. You probably caught this because it was dead center in the screen, but it takes you back to the intro. When they're all in the swamp, people are kind of displaced. They don't know what to do, and you see Papa and Baby Bear sitting on a log just boo-hoo crying. And then you cut to the scene of Lord Farquaad in his room at night, and on his floor is a bearskin rug made out of Mama Bear.
Yeah.
What a dark reference. He killed that kid's mom.
Yeah, it is pretty messed up, and it's something that you would kind of. I mean, I'm not necessarily looking at a bearskin rug and thinking anything about it, but yeah, I have seen this reference before. This is a 21-year-old movie, so you surprisingly will see things pop up about it every once in a while. But yes, that was something that I've seen before.
Yeah, I will also say, since we're on the topic of death, I don't know how many people are thinking about this, but that frog and that snake that they make balloons out of, no matter what happens, both of those animals are going to die horrible deaths.
Yeah.
They were both blown up into balloons and just let go while still alive.
Which is also not how air works.
Right.
But But that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, they absolutely those guys. Yeah, they did not have a good ending.
No,
Yeah.
they're either going to fall to their death or they're going to explode in the air. So shame on you for animal cruelty. Donkey finds out Fiona's dark secret as Shrek mopes around, because, as one does. We get a classic misunderstanding because people don't know how to communicate. Fiona decides to tell Shrek, but then there is an additional misunderstanding, for plot reasons, and Fiona and Farquaad meet. Everyone ends up feeling very alone. So we're taking the turn to the end of the movie here. For me, this is, and we've already kind of touched on it, this is my least favorite part of the movie because it falls into that trope so heavily. What could have happened if Shrek finds out Fiona's secret that she turns, spoiler alert, she turns into an ogre. And then Lord Farquaad comes and takes them away, so they are in love, they know they're in love, but then they're separated. You don't have that, well, she said this and he said this, so we're going to be mad at each other without talking about it. I think that could have been a better movie, if I'm being honest.
You absolutely, this is the point in the movie where I think you can make adjustments to the plot and it be something a little bit fresher. And I think that's what happens today. Like, I think nowadays people are more likely to kind of include that type of twist. I just think in 2001, this is just how these things rolled. It also made me wonder this, and I think we've maybe discussed this before, but how many animated films existed at this point that were enough of an adult film? Like there's enough adult references here that you wouldn't say that this was Toy Story. This was something completely different. There couldn't have been a lot of these types of movies around at that time.
No, Shrek pretty much defined that type of tone as far as animated movies go.
Which is crazy, but this is why it's so impactful in my brain.
Yeah. During this time, Donkey uses Shrek's pain to help Fiona feel better. You're only an ogre at night. This guy's ugly 24/7 is his reasoning for you not to feel bad. I don't understand what the benefit of hiding her curse from Shrek is. I mean, what does she have to gain or lose from just sharing that now that she knows? I mean,
yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's actually a very good point. Like, she's talking to an ogre.
To an ogre.
So if she was like, "Hey, I turn into an ogre at night," what would that have, what would be the negative?
Out of all people, she could have told, he's right there.
And all right, so I'm gonna guess though, would she fear that he would tell Lord Farquaad, ruining her chances of being fixed?
Maybe, but at that point, I don't even think she wants to be with Farquaad anymore. She loves her some Shrek.
And I think she's well aware that he doesn't like Farquaad. Right. So why would he be doing anything to benefit Farquaad? Yeah, that is a plot hole. That's absolutely
the way it had to go. Little Lord Facebook is cracking me up here when he's getting people taking him off the horse and he's got the Facebook logo right on.
That is great.
It's fantastic. Who chose to put the song, whatever Cohen song, Hallelujah, in this movie?
Gosh.
I felt that was a little tone deaf.
That's also another thing that I kind of have a little bit of gripe with in movies, is that's actually used a fairly decent amount in films.
Yeah.
I would venture a guess, and I'm just guessing here, if I were to see how many times that was used in just all movies, I'm going to guess that falls into the double digits.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is used. Just a weird, It's like, it is odd when you're like, we should pick a solemn song here. Fine, a solemn song makes sense there. That just shouldn't be it. Like, that shouldn't be the winner.
Yep.
They were trying to sell soundtracks, though.
Probably, yeah.
That's what they were trying to do. Is they were trying to. This was all this is prime Napster days.
Yeah.
But people were still buying CDs at this time. This was them trying to sell a Shrek soundtrack for sure.
Yep. It's Leonard Cohen did the original. I think that's his name. This is not him. This is a cover, that was a song that was considered a failure when it first came out. But if you listen to the lyrics of that song, never should it be put in a children's movie. Anything that children will be watching. Also, how'd that dragon get free? I still don't understand that. It's just sitting by a lake.
Yeah.
Just tied up at the castle, couldn't get away, and now she's just chilling by a lake with Donkey. That's its own thing. But that brings us to the end. Shrek and Donkey have it out about the wrongs they've done to each other within their week-long friendship. They forgive each other and decide to break up the wedding from the help of a dragon. Fiona allows herself to ogrify. Lord Farquaad declares himself king, captures Shrek and Fiona, and then becomes a snack for the dragon. Does she have a name, by the way? I know we're only talking about one, but outside of Shrek 1, does the dragon have a name?
I don't think so.
It's just dragon, right? Donkey and dragon.
Yeah, I think Donkey and Dragon. I don't think they either of them get names.
Yeah. All right, Shrek and Fiona kiss, and Fiona turns full-time ogre, and Shrek sees how beautiful she really is. They get swamp married, and everyone lives happily ever after.
They get swamp married. It's a very specific ceremony.
Yep. Yeah. With all the fairy tale creatures. I know we'll go on.
For some reason.
Yeah, I know we'll go on to meet Fiona's family and later Shrek's, but man, those people must have sucked. If you just have the first movie to go off of, her parents are the worst people.
All right. Shrek also, I think starts a trope that they have. This might be, again, I'm speculating here. They might create a trope that I will forever hate.
Okay.
Like, even to this day, in 2022, I still hate this in animated films. And that is, end of the movie, let's play some music.
Yeah, let's play an entire song.
Let's play an
4
entire
minutes.
song and just dance for some reason. And what's weird is I don't think Disney does this. Mm-hmm. It seems all the other animated studios do this. I was watching Hotel Transylvania. I think all 3 of those films end in a dance sequence.
Oh, dang.
All the Illumination Studio ones do the same thing. Why? And I swear this was the first one to do it. I couldn't be wrong.
Soundtrack. Got to get that song on the soundtrack.
That's just like, oh, happy ending. Everybody, for some reason, let's dance.
Yeah.
And let's play Smash Mouth for you. For some reason. I don't know. I hate it, man. It drives me crazy.
Oh, man. A quote that I pulled from Lord Farquaad from this section. It's rude enough to be alive when no one likes you. What a great quote to apply to life.
That is a good one.
And then, what happens to Duloc? What is the current hierarchy of Duloc? There was no one to take the throne. Shrek and Fiona don't take the throne.
Okay. Obviously, I'm trying. Now I'm really pressing here because I'm trying to remember post Shrek 1 films.
Oh, I'm leaving those out.
They eventually live in a castle, but I think it's her parents.
Right.
So at the time, were they in the swamp? For some reason in my head, I assumed they took over Duloc.
Based off the end of that movie, I assume they just live in the swamp now. And all these poor peasants in Duloc have no leader, which, if we want to break it down, Farquaad may have been a pretty rough dude, but all they do is compliment how nice Duloc is. It's clean, looks like a nice place to live. So now these people are out of leader. What's going to happen to their economic standing?
Not only that, they're basically now left with no defense against the ravenous, human-eating Shreks.
Yeah.
Coming after them. So yeah, they've probably got a bad situation going on right now.
Yeah, talk about Game of Thronesy. It's go get real Game of Thronesy in Duloc.
Oh yeah.
Maybe that's what House of Dragon is the Shrek world is happening outside around them, and it's just the fight for that throne.
I love this. I love the idea that R.R. Martin, whatever his name was,
George R.R. Martin.
He's
He's still alive.
Yeah, but I just love the idea that he wrote these. He watched Shrek.
Yeah.
And was so inspired by them, he decided to make like these books.
Yeah.
In the Shrek universe, and just built around Shrek. And then in the final conclusion, the Lord of the Thrones is really going to be Shrek coming back to his kingdom, eating the humans. I love this idea. Yeah.
I would love if he wrote out, kind of like Tolkien did, and he writes out the whole backstory, and the beginning of it is the movie Shrek. That's the whole linear
just takes the script, places it in there, including the dancing at the end to Smash Mouth. Yeah.
Puts the whole song in there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We're going to move to some Shrek facts here in a minute, but based off of everything we talked about, based off of your nostalgia and your rewatch, how many nice boulders out of 10 nice boulders are you giving Shrek?
I mean, this is a perfect 10.
Oh, man.
It deserves that because it sets the standard. It sets the standard for Game of Thrones and really animated films moving forward at that point. Like I said, as far as it goes because this is standard practice now. This is standard practice when you put out an animated film, maybe outside of Disney. There's a lot of wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of jokes to the adults in the room, and Shrek sets the tone there. It's great. It's a great cast.
Yep.
Smash Mouth is in it. The animation is okay most of the time, and I like that about that. It adds a little kind of class and charm to it. It's not super polished at all points. Yeah, it's a 10.
All right. Well, I gave it a 9 out of 10 because, man, where that story could have went if they didn't fall into the trope. Takes it one
okay, fine, but it's a sign of the times.
It's a sign of the
times.
times.
Everybody was doing, and it had to walk so that minions could run.
That's true.
That's what had to happen. So for that, it deserves a 10 just for that reason.
I will say that I read an article that said if you talk to any animator that's working on a film, like a high budget film, they will point to one of two, if not both, of the movies for inspiration, and those movies are going to be the original Toy Story or Shrek. Mm.
Yeah, all right. If you're looking straight up animation wise, I still think, which is crazy when you consider the time difference, I think Toy Story holds up more than Shrek. There are moments where this animation I think gets a little wonky, and it really sticks out sometimes. Where I can watch Toy Story, and the most I can maybe critique it, at least animation wise, is certain surfaces can look really flat.
The humans look like monsters in Toy Story.
Yeah. But again, consider the time difference.
Right.
It's 1995
That's the
to
first
2001.
one. It's the first CGI cartoon.
if I were an animator today, I mean, I would look to Toy Story, but I would say, again, Toy Story had to walk so that Shrek could run,
Right.
and Shrek had to walk so that Minions could run.
That's right. All right, Shrek facts. The Shrek films by themselves, no spin-offs, no games, no... they have a friggin' Broadway musical now. None of that have brought in over $1.2 billion domestically. Worldwide, the Shrek franchise has grossed over $3.8 billion. It's ridiculous.
It's an insane amount of money. How are we not still making Shrek movies today? How did that not happen?
They're working on the fifth Shrek right now.
They keep saying that.
I think, you know what it is? It's Cameron Diaz. She's the holdout. She doesn't want to act anymore.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that. Well, she doesn't have to. She could literally sit on her couch.
She could.
Just read some voice lines into this microphone. You're good to go.
Yep. The original film rights, so Shrek was originally a children's book in 1990, I believe. The original film rights were purchased by one Steven Spielberg in 1991. We almost had a 2D animation movie of Shrek directed by Spielberg, starring Bill Murray as Shrek and Steve Martin as Donkey. What a different world we could live in.
I have to visually wrap my mind around that, because that's not a bad combo. That's not a bad combo. Well, the problem is, right? The problem is that Mike Myers basically, him doing that Scottish accent, turns out to be just a genius play. It makes the character really honestly stick in your head.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'm trying to picture, Bill Murray's, he could do that kind of lazy drawl, kind of like what he did with Garfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I could almost in a world see where that works.
Okay.
I don't know if I love this as a 2D film. I think that really ruins it.
Yep. And of course, it would be completely tonally different if it's a Spielberg.
Oh, I don't think it would have been as funny.
Yeah, not at all.
At all.
The original cast for the Shrek that we ended up getting was, as most of us know, Chris Farley as Shrek and Janine Garofalo as Fiona.
Yeah, which is the Janine Garofalo one that's really strange.
Yeah.
But again, a sign of the times.
Right, yeah.
Janine Garofalo basically stops existing after this.
That's true.
You just do not see her in anything at all.
Yep. Chris Farley unfortunately passed away. Janine Garofalo in an interview said she doesn't know why she was let go. She was never told. She thinks it's because she sounds too much like a man. But she went on to say, hey, it's no problem. This movie didn't make anything anyways.
Wow.
It's a funny, nice little jab there. Nick Cage was almost the voice of Shrek, but didn't want children to look at him like an ogre. Man, what a miss. Rumor has it that Shrek is actually based on a French professional wrestler named Maurice Tillet, is how I'm going to say it, Tillet, but
Please tell me he's green. Is he just a giant green guy?
He's not green. He's known as the French Angel. Please Google this man and tell me. I was like, okay, it's a rumor. DreamWorks has never said this is accurate, so it's probably not true. And then I Googled this individual. I was like, oh, yeah, there's
I'm
Shrek.
looking him up right now.
Maurice Tillet, Tillet, but French.
Holy smokes, that is 100% Shrek. This is not even a question. He is 100% modeled after this guy.
Yeah.
Even the ears.
Right.
How? I don't know. 100%. Yeah.
Here's one for you. Shrek won the first ever Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
That doesn't even make sense.
Before the year 2001, there was no award for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars.
Oh, it just didn't exist.
It didn't exist. Okay. They created it and gave it to Shrek. So, did they create this award just to give to Shrek? I mean, I know Disney's our juggernaut, but they were like, this movie is so good, we've got to create a whole other category of Academy Awards.
They honestly, what they should do is rename that award.
Yeah, it should be
it's
the
not
Shrek.
Best Animated Film. It's just the Shrek Award.
Yep. Did you win that Shrek
for Best Animated Film? Yeah.
And it is an honor and a privilege to win, or not even win, but to earn, I guess, is what I want to say, a Hollywood star. Some of the greatest stars in Hollywood have their own star on the Walk of Fame. Some of the greats and arguably some of the best actors don't even have a star. They haven't. Hollywood doesn't feel like they've earned it yet. Shrek has his own star.
I love that. Wow. Who put his hands in there? Did Mike Myers do it?
Mike Myers, yeah. I don't think he put his hands in, but he did give a speech. So there's no handprints or anything, but he does have his own star.
Still pretty cool.
Still pretty cool. And I hope you were not thinking you were making it out of this episode without a little BS or AD action going on.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So for you, I have 5 items. I need you to tell me if they are BS or AD. You're first.
All right.
Dora the Explorer.
All right. So again, when Shrek came out, I was a freshman in high school. Do I remember Dora the Explorer existing then? So Nickelodeon. I'm gonna say this is AD. I'm gonna say this was after Shrek, so after Donkey. AD.
Okay. This is the year 2000. It is BS.
Wow.
Dora the Explorer outdates Shrek. How about the board game Ticket to Ride?
I mean, I would guess that Ticket to Ride has been around for a long time. That's an especially tough one for me because I am notoriously not a fan of board games.
Right.
I'm gonna guess though that you're tricking me, and I would think that this is. I would guess that this is BS. I'm gonna guess this is AD though. You're tricking me. It's AD.
Ticket to Ride, the game about just trains, no current type of transportation, was created in 2004. This is after Donkey.
Okay. Woo. Okay.
So you're 1 for 2.
Right.
What about the classic, the astonishing, the Motorola Razr?
Oh my goodness. I'm all right. I can distinctly remember when the Motorola Razr came out. All right. So Shrek existed when I was there. These were super close. This would be super close. I'm going to say this is BS, and I'm going to guess this is BS by like a few months.
Ticket to Ride and the Motorola Razr came out the same year. This is 2004
That is not true.
AD. The commercials and the marketing for the Razr started in 2003. It was officially launched into stores in 2004. You did not take your Razr into the theater to watch Shrek with you.
There had to have been another phone similar to that around that time. All right, I'm gonna look this up off screen, but wow, that one really got me.
All right, next to last one. How about the classic Beyblade? You remember playing Beyblades?
I think, too old for Beyblades.
Were you too old for Shrek?
I was never. That's timeless. It's for all ages. I was messing with Pogs. I was messing with Pokemon cards.
Both of those are before Shrek.
Yeah, but so I'm at the time, like Shrek came out when I was a freshman in high school. But do I remember Beyblades existing when I was in high school? Like obviously that would have been too old for me. I'm gonna say this is an AD. This is after. I'm gonna guess that Beyblades happens a bit later.
Oh man, this is 1999.
Wow.
Beyblades are way BS.
Chaz, this is a tough round here for me.
I mean, we've played this game 3 times on our old podcast. This is the 4th, so I'm in the trenches looking for stuff now, man.
Because traditionally I'm pretty good at this.
Yeah, you've got.
But these are all pretty tough.
I remember when I don't even know what I hit you with. What was the Xbox? And you did such an amazing Xbox Shrek breakdown. I was like, I got to go deeper with these things.
Because the original Xbox launched with the Shrek, the video game. I remember that because we owned it. So that was such a huge. You made the mistake of hitting something that was like very close to home.
All right, your last one. Shrek.
Right.
Shrek may have introduced us to Smash Mouth or just reminded us of what was already out there. But what came first, Shrek or the song "How You Remind Me" by Nickelback?
All right, this one's pretty easy.
Oh.
Because me in my late junior high years going into high school, I was a fan of Nickelback.
But this song specifically?
If I remember correctly, this was off of their hit album. What was it called?
Something about silver.
Yes, it was like Silver Dollar or something like that. If that came off that album, which I'm 90% sure it did, then that did come out before Shrek, so that is a BS.
Oh, man. How You Remind Me, my Nickelback, was released in July of 2001, which is AD. Donkey had been around for about 3 months at this time.
Is it off of a different album?
I will double check. I don't know.
Yeah. See, this is I don't know, Chaz. That was a good one. But right, I knew they were close.
Silver Side Up was released in September. So the single was released in July. The actual album was released even later in the year, September 11th, 2001. Yikes.
Is that not the album that I'm thinking of? Did they have an album before that?
They had 2 albums before that, Curb and The State.
That's the one I got confused with. The State came out in 1999. That was the one I had. All right, that's where I messed up. I assumed those were the same albums. They were not the same albums. And now, oh man, this is bringing such a huge pull. Like Silver Side Up came around the same time that POD's Satellite came out.
Yep.
Also a record that I owned. Man, I listened to the worst music. And Jimmy Eat World's Bleed American came out.
Yeah.
All in that same month. Okay. See, Chaz, I can get there.
You can get there with the help of Google. All right. Well, from me and the person feverishly mowing the lawn outside of my window, if you can hear him, that's all I've got.
See ya.
Can you hear that?